report in behalf of one of our group members because he is unable to do his part due to some unavoidable circumstances. So now let's talk about reading electrical plans. So as civil engineers, it is very essential that we know how to read a basic electrical plan because, of course, this is part of every construction plan. So for this one, we're not going to be going in depth into the calculations of the electrical systems, but we'll only be focusing on the basic symbols, the basic parts of an electrical plans. So first is I'm going to be showing you an example of an electrical plan layout. So this is how a typical electrical plan looks like. And this one right here is a second page. And as you can observe, the basic electrical plan only contains the layout of the lightings, the wires. It also includes the schedule of loads, the general notes, the legends, as well as sample computations. So to give you a better look into the different parts or into the different contents of a basic electrical plan. So a basic electrical plan contains the following. The first is we have the lighting and the power layout. The second is we have the voltage drop calculation, the short circuit calculation, the schedule of loads, the general notes, the single line diagram, the sample computation, as well as the legend. So as I have mentioned earlier, we're not going to discuss all of these things because some of these things are very in-depth that it is for electrical engineers already. So for us civil engineers, we're only going to be focusing on some of these points, such as the lighting and power layout, the legend, as well as the general notes, as well as the schedule of loads. So first is let's talk the basic simple or the basic symbols in an electrical plan. So in an electrical plan, the following are the basic symbols. So as you can observe right here, we have the different symbols for an electrical plan, and we have a service entry, the kilowatt meter, the panel board, the ACU, the convenience outlet for an ACU, the convenience outlet for a duplex circuit, the convenience output for a cooking range, exhaust fan, lighting outlet, wall switch, as well as a gang switch, as well as a switch line and the circuit line. So I'd like you guys to take a look at these different symbols because later on we're gonna go to a real electrical plan and we're gonna see how these symbols are being utilized in an electrical plan. So just take note that there is even a more detailed version of the different symbols of an electrical plan. So I'd just like to you guys to be familiar of these different symbols. So this is how an electrical switch box looks like. This is for the three-way switch with an S3, the duplex receptacle, so on and so forth. And we also have right here the ground. So if you wish to put a ground on your house, so this is how the symbol looks like. We also have here for the doorbell with a letter T and the circuit breaker. And we also have the switch pole. So the switch pole is very important because this is where your switch is going to be placed. Now we also have the recessed light fixture. So as discussed in the previous discussion, a recessed light is a very common type of lighting being used, and this is how it's being symbolized with an R inside a circle. We also have the ceiling mounted lights fixture, so on and so forth. So I'd like you guys to go on to the different symbols, to be familiar of these different symbols, because later on when we discuss an example of an electrical plan, we're going to be dissecting each of these symbols and we're going to be analyzing each of these symbols. So now this is how an example of a schedule of loads look like. So a schedule of load is very important because the schedule of load contains the summary of the data to easily identify and facilitate the necessary values and equipment rating to be used. So a schedule of load is just like a summary on all the details on all the materials that is going to be used in an electrical plant. So it is also indicated here the wattage, the power input, as well as the ampere that this certain circuit or this certain outlet can occupy. Now let's talk about, yeah, here is an example of a sample load, schedule of load rather. So if you can observe right here, it is just a tabular, it is in tabular format where it contains the description for the lighting outlets, for the ACU, the range. It also have the number of outlets specified for that specific circuit. It also have its specific current or the current that it can hold, the number of switches, the wattage, the voltage, the size of wire use. So this is very important, the size of wire use, because we can't just use a single type of wire or a single size of wire for all of the electrical wirings, because we have to take note that a specific wire has its specific capacity. And we also have here the conduit size, and as well as the diameter, and as well as a circuit breaker size. So later on in our example electrical plan, in our sample electrical plan, we're going to be identifying which of these circuits, or where can we find these circuits in the house. Now, next is we have the panel board. So the panel board, I think we're all familiar of how a panel board look like, but this one right here is a very common panel board that is used here in the Philippines. And sorry for that one. And if you can see this black thing right here, so this is the main switch that is being used. So if you can see the panel board, it has spaces. So in between these spaces, these black switches are going to be installed there, and each switch is going to be assigned on a specific outlet or in a specific wirings. So if you can observe the symbols right here, this is how an electrical, this is how a panel board symbol looks like. So these numbers right here represent the number, sorry for that one. These numbers right here represents the number of switches that is going to be utilized for specific design. So each home has a different number of switches, and it depends on the design of that house. So now we have the general notes. So the general notes is just like a reminder of the things that should be done in the electrical aspect of construction. So it is very important because it is indicated here the things that should be reminded, that should be put into consideration in constructing. And as you can observe, just like in the number 6, it says here mounting height of wiring devices shall be as follows. So we have to take note that the height of the wiring devices are not indicated in the floor plan, because the floor plan, I mean, sorry, the electrical plan, because in an electrical plan, it is only the top view of the house. So it does not include the perspective for the electrical layout. So it is very essential that the height of the wiring devices are also indicated, because this will help the carpenters or those people who's going to be doing the construction, for them to be guided as to the height of the, like, the switch, the outlets, and the panel board. So it is here where we can find in the general notes such things. And it is also here, so like number 4, as a rule, there should be no wire smaller than number 4 shall be used in installation. So it is just a basic reminder as to the different electrical aspects that is going to be used in construction. So now let's move on to the next part, which is checking out some real electrical plans. So I would like you guys to take a look at some of an example electrical plan. By the way, this is the house that we're going to be looking at. So this is a two-story house. This is the one that we are using in our building laboratory, and I would like to check out on how a real electrical plan looks like. So this one right here is the green one portion is a basic is it's just a floor plan of the entire house. So if you can observe in this plan, it is also contained in here the different symbols that are being used for the electrical part of an electrical plan of a construction plan. So if you can observe right here, let's try to look at the legend once again. So if you're going to look at here, service entry. So the service entry, this is where the main electricity from the main post line, or from the main electrical lines is being produced. So from the outside of the house, this is where the main electricity is being inputted. And as you can observe right here, it goes directly to the panel board, because from the service entry, it goes to the panel board, because the panel board is going to be doing the branching out of the different electrical wirings for the house. So now you also have here the kilowatt meter. So the kilowatt meter is very important, because this is where the electrical this is where people, or